Welcome to Obsidian for tabletop RPGs. Let's learn how to use the tool. Alright, g'day guys, and welcome back tonight to another Obsidian video. Tonight we're going to be having a look at a hot topic again, and that topic is ChatGPT. ChatGPT has taken the globe by storm, and it's all over the media, and everyone's using it for all sorts of fun stuff, and it's ripping the TTRPG community apart because some people like it, other people hate it, some people want to hear about it, other people don't want to hear anything about it at all. But there's one thing for sure, artificial intelligence is here. It arrived on our shores in November 2022 in a very interesting way. I mean, AI's been around for a lot longer than that, let's be completely honest, but it's arrived in a way that surprised people. All right, ChatGPT has been openly or made open to the public, and everyone's playing with it, and everyone can finally see, like, oh, this thing actually can do some stuff. All right, so tonight we're going to be having a look at ChatGPT, but also having a look at some other stuff as well, with this idea that we can create some calculators for our TTRPG games. Okay, so I've been playing Pathfinder 2nd Edition, really having a fantastic time with that. If you haven't played the system, I do highly recommend you check it out. Absolutely lovely. But one of the things that Pathfinder has is a bit more complex than 5th Edition, obviously. Pathfinder is famous for being a bit more complex, which I'm really enjoying, if I'm completely honest. But there's a few things where you're like, oh, I just wish I had something to look that up. Right, and one of those things that I'm thinking that somebody wanted to look up was the jump distances. Okay, so as you can see on my screen in front of me now, I've got a note created. This is part of the TTRPG Vault that my patrons get access to. And basically in here we've got a jump distance calculator. Now I do want to do a call out and say a huge thanks to Xentis and Steveax here. These are the guys that work together to write the code for this, alright? So this is not something I've created. I am not that clever, alright? I'm okay with coding, but I'm certainly not an expert by any way or any means, and JavaScript is not my language. So, before we jump into that, I do need to pull out that you're probably going to need to install some stuff to make this work. Alright, so go ahead and install the DataviewJS plugin if you don't already have it installed. Chances are you do if you've been watching my videos for a while. It is an amazing plugin. So go ahead, do the install, do the enable, but also go through into the options. Alright, and there's an option that needs to be ticked. So we're going here to settings, we're going down here to DataView, and there's these two options here for enable JavaScript queries and enable inline JavaScript queries. Just go ahead and tick those both on in order to make this functionality work. Alright, once you've got that, you can get out of here. Alright, now once you've got that installed, we'll go ahead and get rid of that. You can play around with this calculator, and this is what we're sort of playing with. This is the idea that within a note we can have some sort of application. And in this case here we're saying, alright, what's the strength of the character? I'm going to go there, strength is 6. We press calculate jump distance, and what do? We can see here that with a long jump, with a running start, they can jump 6 feet. Long jump from standing, they can jump 3 feet. High jump with a running start, 1 feet. And then high jump from a standing, only half a foot. Alright, so basically it's just a little calculator that's allowed to be used inside of a note, right? So I can change that and I can press calculate. This becomes a tool that I can bring up really quickly, alright, inside of a game. And just to throw some ideas out there, if you were to take this little snippet of code here, which is what makes it work, and create a new note, well, not like that, put it down here, and we'll call this the jump calculator. Alright, that becomes a note that you can then drag into different places. So like maybe you want to drag it down into your bar on the right, right? So then we can put in the 12, we can calculate our jump, or maybe we want to put it on the left-hand bar, right? So you can create notes that become calculators that effectively you can put in different places. And if you go up here, you can actually have a look, you can stick it in here, right? So you've got your dice roller, but then you've also got your jump calculator. All right, so it almost becomes like a little plugin if you do it properly. So that might be something that you guys want to do. All right, I'm just going to stick that inside of here so that everyone can get access to it later. All right, so let's just go through and have a look at that again. All right, so we've got a little calculator. Here's the code, all right, that's used to do this. Now, as I said, I can't write this, but I can read this. I've got a fairly good understanding of what it's doing, all right? So if we come down here, it's defining some import fields and creating the button, all right? That's what this is doing. So there's an import field there with the import field as the text. There's the strength import field, and then there's a button that says calculate the jump distances. Then it's actually got some text that's been created is what it's doing. So the DV paragraph is saying I want to write to the screen these values here. If we have a look here, so we can see it's got the import strength, it's got the where to put the jump strength, the button, and the text. That's all that is. And then we're defining what happens when the button is clicked. All right, so it's got an event listener. On click, it triggers an event. When the event is triggered, it's cleaning out this. All right. And the reason for that, just so that we can see what it does, if I put in 12 and press jump and jump and jump, see it keeps adding the text. That's because it's writing the text. This just cleans that up, all right? So that way, when we put 12 and go jump and then jump and jump, it doesn't keep rewriting the text down the screen. Down here, it's doing a little bit of maths, all right? So it's calculating the strength result. And then down here, it's writing those results to the screen. So this isn't a really complex piece of JavaScript, right? So if you've got a loose background in programming, if you've played around as a kid maybe, like back in the, oh geez, that takes me back, the basic days, that's where I started a long, long time ago. All right, you can generally read what this is doing, and that's enough for most people to get by. Now, I am not that clever though that I could write this from start to finish. And I looked at this thing, I was like, I didn't know that you could have these things inside of Obsidian. That's really cool. I like that idea. I wonder if I could get a DC calculator. Now, shock horror, I didn't know how to code this. All right. I wanted to code it. I had some ideas on how to code it. I tried to mess around with this and actually just change it and do the calculations myself. So I did actually have a crack at writing this, but I didn't quite get there to where I wanted to be. But anyway, let's have a look at it. So if import difficulty level, let's say the party is a level 6, we could enter 6. All right, we can press calculate, and we've got easy DCs all the way through to incredibly hard DCs. Okay, and if we come through and have a look here, we can have a look at the code that's been written, and you can see it's a fair bit more complex. But how did I write this if I don't know how to write JavaScript? That is the question we're going to talk about tonight. Because while I think the JavaScript is absolutely amazing, it's no good if like only 3 or 4 of us in the community are able to write these things, right? We're going to get more interesting calculators that people can share if more people know how to write these things. And well, what do you do if you don't know how to write them? You do a Google for ChatGPT, all right? There's a application or a website that you can go to called openai.com/blog/ChatGPT, and you come to this wonderful site here where this big button says try ChatGPT. Now, for anyone who hasn't played with this yet, sometimes it does struggle to let you in. It's under immense load. It's in testing currently. As of right now, everyone can use it for free, but in a year, who knows what this is going to look like. And basically what you do is you make chats and you chat with it. All right, so if we say new chat, we say, hi ChatGPT, what is the weather today? I don't reckon it'll be able to answer me. Well, let's find out. All right, it's basically a chatbot. All right, he doesn't have access to where I live. He doesn't know what the weather is outside, so he can't answer that question. All right, so that's actually a pretty good answer. Do you know how to play Pathfinder 2? What does it say? Yes, I do know how to play Pathfinder 2 because I've been connected to the internet and I can see the rules that obviously Paizo put out for free. So it might not get everything right, but it certainly seems to have a basic understanding of the game. So you can see where this is going, right? ChatGPT isn't like Google where you Google something and it gives you results. ChatGPT, you're just having a conversation and it gives you an answer. You don't get 20 answers that you need to go through and figure out which one is the answer that is right for you. It just gives you an answer. Whether that answer is correct or not, that's going to be what AI needs to solve for in the coming years, right? Like, if it's connected to the internet, you know, then it gets all of the good information and all of the bad information. So the things that could output could certainly be incorrect. So I certainly recommend you approach this with, just quizzical sense, I guess, right? So anything it gives you, don't necessarily trust it to be this is the truth. Just play with it. All right, but here we have the Pathfinder 2e travel calculator, and this is a conversation that I've kept, all right? Because when you have a conversation that you keep, the tool maintains the learning from that conversation, all right? So if maybe you've got a game going and you want to ask it questions about your Pathfinder game or your D&D game, right? Ask it questions and keep that chat, because what you're going to do is then you can use that later and it remembers what you were going through. All right, so how did I create this calculator from before? Well, what I did is I copied the code in here from the one that's working that Xentis and Steveax created. All right, because this gives us the language and the syntax that's required in order to get a working calculator. So then I came in here and I wrote, "Hi ChatGPT." I always talk to it like a human. I don't know why, I just feel like I should. "Would like you to create me a application that calculates the DC," I'm going to write this, difficulty class, "for a challenge in Pathfinder 2e. Please use this application as an example of the language and the syntax that is required. The application will run inside of Obsidian.md using the DataviewJS plugin." Alright, I paste in that original code, I press enter, and I see what happens. Now this doesn't always get it right. Alright, sometimes you need to go back and forth a little bit in order to get it right, but it has a damn good crack at it. As you can see here, it's creating code. It's smashing something out. Here we go. So it's finished. I'm going to take this code and now copy it into this vault here. And what we're going to do is I'm just going to right click, go new note, we'll stick it in new note. I did a Control-Shift-V to paste that then, just so you're aware, because Control-V, just so you can see it, does that. Alright, so whenever you're pasting in code, do a Control-Shift-V and it pastes it in with the formatting. Alright, but this is a JavaScript, so we need to do the tide, or whatever it's called. And then we go DataviewJS. Alright, that needs to be at the start. Then at the bottom we press enter, we go tide. What are these things called? I should remember. Alright, and here we go. So what's the character level? 6. Input the task level. 10. Calculate the DC. 18. Alright, so as you can see, it's basically gone through and created its own calculator that worked straight out of the box almost. Alright. And just to show you how sort of powerful this thing can be, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, can we make the character level, can you please update this so that the character level defaults to 6. Enter. Alright, and the reason why I'm showing you this is because, I don't need it to default to 6, but just to show you how easy it is to have a conversation with ChatGPT that says, hey, can you please make this slight adjustment for me? You've got this working thing out of the box. I want you to change it now. All right, and it goes ahead and does that, and then we copy this and we go back to our notes. We paste it in. We have a look. Oh, that's not what I wanted. This might be a fantastic example of a failure. This is. Alright, can you see what it's done there? Right, I gave it the original jump calculator. We were getting it to create this, and then it's actually updated the original jump calculator again. So sometimes you have to go through and obviously check the work that it's doing. But then what I've found is that you can just do this, right? Say, sorry, I meant, can you update the DC calculator so that the player level defaults to 6. Alright, you have to be a bit specific sometimes. It'll apologise. It's really quite a polite little bot. I guess that's why I like to talk to it like a human. Might also save me if they ever try to take over the world. Probably not, but it's worth a shot, right? Alright, then we've got some other text here. We can paste that in. And what does this one do? Creates an error. This is a fantastic example. I'm going to copy that error and I'm going to come back in here. Oh, I'm in there already. I'm going to come back to here to ChatGPT and I'm going to say this code produces the following error. I didn't copy it. Let's try that again. Here we go, let's go think about this one for a bit. Alright, so it's determined that the dv.fragment function does not work. So to fix this error, you can use the dv.div method instead of the dv.fragment to create a container for the import field button and result. Here's the updated code. Alright, so as you can see, if you get an error message, you can try just give that error message back to ChatGPT and see what it comes up with. Got too many clicks going on here today. So let's go into edit mode and let's paste this new code. Let's see. No. We can give that back to ChatGPT and we can say, hey, that didn't work. That code produced the following error. Now, as you can see, this isn't always perfect, and this is a fantastic example of ChatGPT, right? Like this is how it is. It's not just you put in something and you get an instant result. Sometimes you have to go back and forth a little bit. It helps to have a basic understanding of programming, in my opinion, to get the best out of something like what I'm doing here. Because I've got a basic understanding of, you know, different sort of things like, you know, what a variable is and that sort of thing. No, still not working. But it helps to sometimes be able to have a conversation with it. I'm going to paste that in again, but it looks like it is going to error out. No, it looks like that has caused a bit of an error, unfortunately. And, you know, when that happens, because it certainly will happen, what I tend to do is I go back up to where I had the last functional version. Alright, so here's my DC calculator that created last time, and you know, if we go back to obsidian.md and just paste this in and have a look, from memory this one was functional. Okay, so it managed to give us a DC calculator, so we can use this as the base. Alright, so what we then do is we go back to ChatGPT, we copy that and we say, literally, let's try again. Can you please update this code so that the player level is defaulting to level 6? Oh, and I didn't paste the code, so that's probably not going to help. Let's try that again. Now we'll go back up to here. There's the DC calculator. And come back down to the bottom. I'm going to Shift Enter and paste. And I somehow put it at the top. Oh, I've got way too much going on there. Let's try that again. use the calculator, copy, come down the bottom, paste, and try again. Alright, so it's going to provide an updated code here, does its thing. We'll just literally repeat the process, right? We're going to try and paste it in and see if it works. Alright, here we go. Go back to Obsidian, paste it in and see what happens. There we go, and it's defaulting to level 6. If we now go back through and have a look at the code, we can see level field set attribute value 6, and it's even commented it, right? It says update default level to 6. All right, so now I could actually copy that if I wanted to change the code myself. But look, you know, that's really what I want to show you tonight, is the fact that you can do that. Right, there's nothing stopping you from taking your system and your idea for a calculator that you might need and going ahead and throwing that in. You could start with one of these as the basics, as the base for what you're using. Throw it in, ask it to use the system of your choice, and there you go. I did that for like an hour and a half to create this travel calculator one. Okay, and this was a lot more complex, all right, because it's got a table of results that are used in the calculation. But just so you can see, if we enter 150 miles, we're traveling 8 hours per day. You can see that's where I went down that default to 8 path. Import maximum party speed, the fastest person's 35 feet. Calculate travel time. All right, and we can see travel time is 5 days, 2 hours and 51 minutes. This is a much more complex calculator, but as you can see, it is capable. Now, when I first started the conversation with ChatGPT about this one, I said, hey, do you know the travel rules for Pathfinder 2nd Edition? It said, yeah, sure I do. I gave it the URL to the site that has the rules, and it's like, yeah, I know these rules, I can do this for you. And it tried a lot of different ways. Now, for those coders among us, it tried to make a lookup table, right? It tried to create a table that it was going to reference. And you know, it was trying to do some clever things, but Obsidian.md simply couldn't handle it, right? The data view query isn't updated with those sort of functions, so it was failing. So at some point I turned around to it and I said, hey, instead of using a lookup table, can you write a number of nested if-then statements that goes through all of the conditions of the table and checks it and then uses that to figure out the result? And it was like, yep, sure thing, I can do that. And it spat it out and it worked first go. And now I have a functional PF2E travel calculator that can be used to get that distance working. Now, just so you're aware, this table here is not part of the code solution. It is not required at all. It's just this bit here. I just put it there for my own reference because it's a useful thing to have around. But yeah, there we go, guys. Obviously, there's a couple of things that I've covered in this video that are really cool. All right, the fact that you can use JavaScript in DataviewJS queries on your page to create little applications or little calculators. That is immensely cool. Again, a shout out to Xentis and Steveax for showing me that this was possible. I really like this bit of code. Thank you, it is amazing. Then the fact, though, that I can go to ChatGPT and just have a conversation with it and say, hey, I want to take this further. Can you do this for me? Can you do that for me? And just see what it does. And as I said, it is not as simple as it's not going to pump you out a result in the first 3 seconds that works. I also highly recommend you check the calculations that it's doing. Like, I haven't. I'm not 100% sure this is right. I'm just like living off the high of the fact that it did something and it's cool. But if you're going to do this properly, I certainly would go away and double check that the calculations are correct. And to make sure that you challenge ChatGPT, right? You can tell it, sorry, this is not right. I need you to have another crack at it and see how it goes. But yeah, there we go, guys. That has been how to create a TTRPG calculator using ChatGPT with DataView, JavaScript, all that sort of loveliness. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please do like and subscribe. Outside of that, I will speak to you all on the socials. I want to say a huge and massive shout out to my patrons. I will update this code into the vault shortly and you'll all have access to it so you can play around with it. Outside of that, guys, have a great night and I will speak to you later. Night.